You know, as a genealogist, you learn pretty quickly that some of the most compelling stories don't start with a birth. They start with a death. A single piece of paper, a death certificate, can just open up this whole world of questions. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to piece together the life of a man named John O'Connell.
So this is it. This is our starting point. It's a document from the Massachusetts Catholic Order of Foresters, and it tells us something pretty stark. On February 16, 1901, a man named John O'Connell, from all the way over in Danvers, Massachusetts, died. But here's the kicker. He died in Duncan, Arizona. I mean, we're talking thousands of miles from home.
And that right there, that's the central mystery we're going to unravel. How in the world did a shoemaker from a small town in Massachusetts end up out there? We're going to follow the breadcrumbs, the paper trail he left behind, census records, military files, you name it, and try to understand this guy's incredible journey.
Okay, so to figure this out, we actually have to start at the end. We're going to look at the catastrophic event that took John's life. See, he wasn't just visiting Arizona. Nope, he was working deep inside a mine.
And when I say catastrophic, I mean it. We're talking about 1,600 pounds of something called giant powder. That's basically a type of dynamite. Just try to picture that for a second. Nearly a ton of explosives going off deep underground. The sheer force of that is unimaginable. The news reports at the time, they didn't mince words. They said the 7 men who died, including John, were blown to atoms. I mean, how brutal is that? The blast was so unbelievably violent, they said you could hear it from 20 miles away.
So, of course, a coroner's jury gets together pretty quickly. And what do they decide? Accidental. Cause unknown to us. Case closed, right? No blame attached. But that official verdict, it tells us absolutely nothing about the man. So let's ask the real questions. Who was John O'Connell, and how did he end up in that mine?
All right, to do that, we have to rewind. I mean, way back. We're going back to the very beginning, tracing his journey all the way from Ireland to a brand new life in America. His story, like so many others of his generation, starts across the Atlantic. He was born in County Cork, Ireland, to his parents Cornelius and Ellen O'Connell. And, like countless others, they packed up and emigrated, hoping to find a new life.
And by 1860, we find him. There he is, on the census, settled in Ipswich, Massachusetts. He's working as a shoemaker, just like his dad, Cornelius. He's part of this big immigrant family, just trying to build a future for themselves in a totally new country.
But think about this. Just 1 year after that census was taken, everything changes. The country is torn apart by war, and John's life, it's about to take another incredibly dramatic turn. This shoemaker from Ipswich, he answered the call. He enlisted back in July of '61, and get this, he later re-enlisted as a veteran volunteer. That really tells you something about his dedication, right? He served with the 1st Massachusetts Heavy Artillery, and he saw action in some of the absolute worst, most grueling campaigns of the entire Civil War.
And this is where things get really interesting. We find this document that shows a real challenge to his character. In 1864, an officer actually tried to get him demoted from corporal. The reason? He said John was incompetent because he was illiterate. He couldn't write his own name.
But check this out. High Command completely shot down that request. They said no. And it gets better. Not only did he keep his rank, but he was later promoted to sergeant. He held that leadership position right up until the end of the war. I mean, what a powerful testament to his character and his skill as a soldier, right?
So, after the war ends, Sergeant O'Connell comes back home to Massachusetts. He's ready to build a life away from all that, to put down some roots and start a family of his own.
And it turns out, even in the middle of all that fighting, he was already laying the groundwork for his future. While he was on furlough, he married Priscilla Carr. It's a great reminder, isn't it? He was a soldier, yeah, but he was also a husband. He had a life waiting for him back home. And this is one of the coolest parts of genealogy. These census records, they're like family portraits, but made of text. We can literally watch his family with Priscilla grow over the years. We see his kids pop up: Marcella, John Jr., Mary, and Margaret. So he builds this stable, pretty typical American life for the time. He settles the family in Danvers, he goes back to making shoes, and he becomes a really active member of his local community. Specifically, this fraternal order, the Massachusetts Catholic Order of Foresters. Sound familiar? Yep, it's that very same group, the Foresters, that ends up documenting his final tragic journey.
They're the ones who provided the insurance that would support his family, and they're the ones who bring our story right back to where we started. Remember how devastating that explosion was? Well, it was so bad that his body had to be sealed for the long trip home. And this quote, right from the forester's paperwork, it's just haunting. Unable to view the remains.
Think about what that really means. This detail it drives home the grim reality of it all. His own fraternity brothers, the guys who were responsible for officially identifying him so his family could get the death benefits, they couldn't even do their duty. The man they knew and cared about was sealed away from them.
So this outlines the incredible and really somber logistics of just getting a man's body back home to his family in 1901. It wasn't simple. First, from the mine in Ash Peak, Arizona, then his remains were taken to Lordsburg, New Mexico for preparation, and then began the long train ride all the way across the country just to be buried by an undertaker from Salem.
But because of his foresight, because of his membership in the Foresters, John was able to provide for his wife Priscilla and their kids one last time. That $1,000 benefit, that was a huge amount of money back then. It was enough to make sure his family had some support after he was gone.
And so, after this life that was just filled with upheaval, immigrating from Ireland, surviving the horrors of the Civil War, only to die this shocking death thousands of miles from everyone he knew, he was finally laid to rest, right where he belonged, with the family he built, back home in Massachusetts.
John O'Connell's story? It's just amazing what you can piece together from these little fragments of the past, isn't it? It's such a powerful reminder that history isn't just a bunch of dates and events in a textbook. It's about people. A shoemaker, a soldier, a father, a whole life recovered from the archives. And it really makes you wonder, what stories are just waiting to be discovered in your own family's past?